Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested. Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 30-year-old Virginia resident and Marine veteran, also former police officer Jacob Fracker, was seen inside the Capitol. He was with his then friend and commanding sergeant, Thomas Robertson. You guys probably will remember that name. Fracker and Robertson wore gas masks on Capitol grounds and forced their way inside the building where they celebrated along with the other members of Trump's mob. They took pictures and video inside the buildings, and then they bragged about their actions and they shared the evidence with their fellow officers after the fact. Fracker also shared a video on Facebook. In the video, he was literally pounding on his own chest, and he said, quote, "Shit was wild, LOL. I pissed in Nancy P's toilet." In another social media post, Fracker wrote, quote, "LOL to anyone who's possibly concerned about the pictures of me going around. Not like I did anything illegal. Y'all do what you feel you need to." As I mentioned, this is a cop. This is a cop, and he doesn't realize that he broke the law. And then we wonder why they think it's perfectly okay to shoot unarmed people of color in the back. Anyway, the FBI also located a private message that Fracker sent to a friend. In it, he said, quote, "I was like eighth person inside the building. Shit was fucking lit." At some point, though, Fracker and Robertson had an epiphany. They realized that, hey, maybe we're in deep shit, because Robertson took and destroyed both of their phones. And that's something that Fracker actually testified to at Robertson's trial, which helped to land Robertson in prison for over 7 years. So Fracker was arrested on January 13th. He lost his job, and he was charged with obstructing an official proceeding, aiding and abetting in that crime, entering a restricted building or grounds, and 2 counts of disorderly conduct. Initially, Fracker and Robertson's cases were linked. They were co-defendants, and that was really screwing Fracker because Robertson was refusing to take a plea deal. So Fracker kept trying to get his case severed, and after several months of haggling, he finally was able to do that. Robertson got hit with a superseding indictment, and Fracker's case was severed. Well, in March of this year, Fracker pleaded guilty to the felony crime of conspiracy to commit an offense or defraud the United States government by obstructing an official proceeding. And he was looking at up to 5 years in prison, up to 3 years of probation, and up to $250,000 in fines. The prosecutor, though, was seeking only a 6-month sentence of probation and then some term of either time in home detention or a halfway house, because they said that Fracker had really helped them. He had cooperated in the case against his former sergeant, as I mentioned, Robertson, who he used to refer to as Dad. He literally used to call him Dad. That's how close they were. And the prosecutor told the judge that Fracker's cooperation went, quote, above and beyond what we had even anticipated at the outset. In fact, they said that the government had no idea that Robertson had destroyed their phones, and they would never have known if Fracker hadn't told them. And in Robertson's trial, Fracker admitted to feeling proud after the Capitol attack in the immediate aftermath, but then he said later he felt weird and ashamed. Those were direct quotes. And he said, quote, At the time, it was all fun and games. Here lately, I've had it actually presented to me and shown to me for what it is. I know for a fact my mom would slap me in the face if she had saw what I was doing that day. U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper presided over Fracker's case, and at the sentencing hearing, the judge questioned his motives. He said, quote, "Mr. Crane made the point that you weren't terribly political. You obviously served in the military where you're supposed to do your job without regard for politics, and I'm sure you did that. What is it, apart from Mr. Robertson, that led you and so many others who might fall into that category to breach the Capitol that day?" And so Fracker explained that he was concerned about his daughter's future, among other things, and he said that he was concerned also about Robertson, and he said he wanted to, quote, "have his back." And the judge posited the idea that nefarious actors may have targeted people like Fracker to try to, quote, "appeal to their patriotism." And so Fracker agreed, and then Judge Cooper said, quote, "I don't think you came to DC just to show support for the former president, but as you pled to, you came with intent to obstruct the certification, which is a goal you shared with Mr. Robertson. And that's exactly what you helped to do by being one of the first in the building, by staying in the building until after police gained control." That was something that he admitted to, that was their goal, that they went to the Capitol to stop the certification of the vote. You know, he didn't make up excuses like all of these other people did and say, oh, we were just, swept up in the crowd. We never intended to go in. No, he flat out said in Robertson's trial, this is why we went there. This is why we went in the building. So after praising Fracker for his military service and his assistance in the prosecution of his former friend, the judge sentenced Fracker to 59 days of home confinement, 12 months of probation, 120 hours of community service, and $2,000 in restitution. And Judge Cooper explained that he gave Fracker only 59 days of home confinement because 60 days or more would have triggered the loss of Fracker's military disability benefits. I don't know on this one, you guys. I typically, as you know, want to see some time behind bars, but Fracker really did go all in with his cooperation against someone who he truly loved. He really loved and respected Robertson. It makes me think that he's possibly one of the few who honestly has remorse for his actions and he wanted to do the right thing. It couldn't have been easy. He's sitting on that witness stand. He has to face his old friend, literally, someone who he called dad, as I mentioned. So I have to give him credit for that. That may not be the popular opinion. I get it, but you guys know I keep it real with you. I tell you what I honestly think in all of these situations. You can disagree. You can be wrong. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.